with Valera. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. Wherever you are, whoever you are, wherever you live, whoever you support, welcome back. The sponsors, pay them some love. OK Jersey, the code is Savva, SAVVA, 2 Vs, 8% at checkout. That's an 8% discount for all your football tops, sporting jerseys, the World Cup tops, Champions League, Premier League, La Liga, German, whatever you need. They've got it. And Match Bingo, which is the code FHTV. Whatever you put in, they will double. If you put in £10, they'll put in £20. It's that simple. But good morning to you all. We'll do some hellos in a minute. But this show is titled The Next ENIC Victim, because I, like many now, are of the opinion that does it really matter who the next manager is? In the grand scheme of things, does it matter? Now, it might matter to certain people for style. It might matter to certain people for ego. It might matter to certain people for the short term. But in the bigger picture, in the long term, no manager is ever going to succeed at Tottenham. I'm not talking about winning a trophy. I'm talking about a successful period. Spurs have a year, 4 or 5 years, you win 2-3 trophies. Spurs have a team that competes. Now, yes, we had that under Pochettino for a couple of years, and look what they did. Absolutely nothing behind that. So today we're going to have a look at the next manager odds for Tottenham Hotspur. There's some interesting reading in there. But also, we got to premise that with the fact that the next manager odds are going to be very much based around if Tottenham Hotspur are a Premier League football club in 2026, 2027. If they're not, then this all changes. Now, Fabrizio Romano, he's chucked a new name into the mix. It's an old name, but a new name this time around. And look, I see people arguing all day, every day about it can't be him, it can't be him, it can't be him. But right now, does anyone know the answer? For me, everyone knows my feelings. Whatever happens by hook or crook, if we scrape our way to survival, this squad's got to be ripped apart. This squad is now filled with negative losing players. Whatever you think of most of them, they have now been around for years and years and years of losing. Now, don't ever go at me. The facts and the data are there. I know there's people that cry about it. There's people that get upset about it. But the facts and the data are there. Most of these players are part of a losing culture and a losing mentality. The club is toxic. The club is toxic. And for me, we've got to somehow scrape to stay up and then go again. And I want to see someone come in, director of football and manager, that rips this squad apart and starts again. I don't have any affiliation. I know there's these weird little cults that like certain players. I don't care for any of that. I know that people say, oh, you've got an agenda. I don't have an agenda against any player. I think they're good or they're not. Oh, it's a narrative. There's no narrative. I either rate a player or I don't. I always say this, and I can never get an answer from anyone, any YouTuber or fan. Why? Why would any fan not want a Spurs player to be brilliant? When I'm told I've got an agenda against Odegaard, for example, why would I not want him to be amazing? Why would I not want every Spurs player to be brilliant? Just unfortunately, some of them aren't. You've got a squad that's been put together here that, for me, 1, isn't good enough. I mean, it's good enough to stay up. 1, it isn't good enough. 2, the mentality's all wrong. 3, it's not being built with anything in mind. And 3, in defense of those players, they are being chopped and changed from pillar to post, game after game after game after game after game. Consistency is the absolute key. Fulham, consistent. Brentford, consistent. Brighton, consistent. Bournemouth, consistent. That's me not even leaping to the biggest clubs in the league. That's me leaping to the clubs that normally finish around 10th to 13th to 14th. Spurs aren't even that. 17th last year. We're 17th this year. Eyes can be opened. Data can be read. People choose not to. That's up to them. For me, I see with my eyes and I back it up with the data. This is not good. These players are not as good as many think. So where do Tottenham go from here? And as the title says, who is the next ENIC victim? Now, people go, oh, you're so negative. You're negative. Every manager so far, in one way, shape, or form, has been a victim of ENIC. Haven't they? Pochettino putting together a really good team, but then they're not building on it. He's a victim of ENIC. He's a victim. He was a victim of putting together a very good team. Then we look at Nuno. He was given 3 months. Now, whether we wanted him gone or not, again, it's a victim of ENIC. Conte. Conte wanted to win things, but he's a victim of ENIC, given bog standard average players and told to work miracles. A victim of ENIC. Who was after Conte? Ange. Ange, first season, I mean, a brilliant start, terrible finish, but got 5th. And then was given loads of young players. Loads of young players. Whatever you think of him, he was given young players. Victim of ENIC. Frank, he wanted the Gibbs Whites, the Ezes, the Savios. He wanted to build. Victim of ENIC. Struggling going into January. Loads of injuries. They don't do that. Victim of ENIC. Tudor. Less so because he's only been here for 7 games. But he's a victim of what ENIC have put together in total. So who is the next victim of ENIC that we're all going to fight and row and argue about? Some will, that they will pin their flag to that mast, won't they, for whoever the next manager is. Others will hate it from day one. And we'll argue about it every day, won't we? We'll argue about it every day. Oh, I want De Zerbi. I can't stand De Zerbi. And then from the next year, year and a half, good moments with De Zerbi, bad moments. I told you he was great. I told you he was shit. Then he leaves and we go, oh, ENIC, why aren't you doing what you need to do? And at what stage do you just have to laugh and say, it's one big merry-go-round, isn't it? And as I said, there are people that have hated ENIC more than me. Loads of people that hate them more than me the last 10 years, 15 years. They've been absolutely right, haven't they? They have been right. And this isn't about point scoring. They've been absolutely right. ENIC have run this club so badly that when the dust settles, when Son and Kane are no longer here to paper over their cracks, suddenly those cracks turn into chasms, don't they? The cracks were papered, weren't they? And as I always use this analogy, this is the equivalent of needing heart surgery and giving the patient some paracetamol. Don't worry, this will settle your heart down. That's what we do. It's what we've done for years. Don't worry, Kane and Son will get us out of this mess. And they did, year after year after year. And they played in some good teams. They played in some shitty teams. But they papered over everything. And now anyone who supported ENIC has surely got to be looking back and going, yes, what a mess they made of this. This is the squad that ENIC put together. This is what they've done. They are the one constant for 25 years. They are the one constant. People can rate a manager, not rate another manager, but they come and they go. They float into our lives. They float out of our lives. But ENIC have been here. They're the constant. They're the only thing that has remained in this 25 years. Even Daniel Levy is now gone. And ENIC have still been there time and time and time again. never want to risk. As Lubo says, they're risk averse. Times where we've been in a good position and you're thinking, kick on. Kick on. And they never did. And we've had the top managers. We've had Jose Mourinho, one of the greatest managers of all time. Like him, don't like him. Like his style, don't like his style. Hate his press conferences, love his press conferences. Jose Mourinho is the greatest, one of the greatest managers that has ever managed football. Where didn't he win? Tottenham Hotspur, right? Like, you look at it. This is not just about a manager. When people say we just need a good manager, sure, but what does that actually mean? We had Antonio Conte. Like him, don't like him. And I'm not particularly a Conte fan, but I can't bury my head in the sand and say the guy's not a winner. Look what he's won at Inter, at Chelsea, at Napoli. And where did he have a time where it made him look ill and he looked terrible, didn't he, towards the end of his tenure, whether you liked him or not? I wasn't a big fan, but the bigger picture is Antonio Conte told us, whether you wanted him or not, this is what Antonio Conte said.
Because it's time to change the situation if Tottenham wants to change. If they want to continue in this way, they can change manager, a lot of manager, but the situation cannot change, believe me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And again, for all those in the chat that just say, all we need is a good manager, listen to Conte's words. You can change manager time and time again. Nothing will change, right? And whether I liked him or not as a manager, whether I thought he was the right fit or not, he's absolutely spot on. Nothing will change. Ange, whether you liked him as a manager or not, he's come out and said similar things. Obviously, it wasn't as loud and as brash and in that format, but we've seen Ange since say it. AVB, whatever you thought of him, AVB said it since he's gone. Potcher's said it. Nuno's mentioned things. Harry Redknapp's mentioned things. But here we are going, all we need is a top manager. That will solve everything. If we get a top manager, it solves everything. It doesn't. It genuinely doesn't. It doesn't solve anything. We are in a position now where everyone has got bundles of evidence. Now, it depends on your age. If you're my age, you've seen the entire ENIC tenure. And I was old enough when they first joined to understand what was going on, right? I've seen the entire ENIC tenure. So ENIC took over when I was probably about 19, 18, something like that. I was an adult. Well, legally by age, maybe not in maturity at that age. But I've seen it all the way through. There are people now, though, that might only be 18 or 19 now. And all they know is ENIC. So there you go. What you've seen is you've got the evidence. You've got the blueprint of what ENIC are. You've got that blueprint. And right now, surely the only thing that should matter is ENIC. Obviously, staying up. But, I mean, in terms of the bigger picture is nothing's changing. And what will happen is we do this all the time. What will happen? And we're all guilty of this. We've all been guilty of this. Me, you, everyone. Is a manager might come in, starts well, first 5-10 games, and we go, oh my God, it's different. It's changed. This time it's different. This manager is different. These players like this manager. Then it starts doing that. And the manager visibly starts getting agitated in interviews because now it's not, oh, well done, what a great start. It's, you're struggling, what's going on? And what happens? And what happens? We all get frustrated and we all see that in those windows where you're going, right, help the manager out, ENIC revert to type. And This is not, this shouldn't be me telling you anything you do not know. Yes, there are many that have stuck their head in the sands. There are many that tied their flag to the ENIC mast. But ENIC are the overriding factor, whether you liked Levy or not. I wasn't a big fan of Levy, but it goes beyond Daniel Levy. ENIC have killed this club, and they are showing yet again that they don't know what they're doing. Right now, they don't know what they're doing. They showed it with the Frank situation. They didn't know whether to sack or not, or to back him or not, so they did nothing. They're showing it in the transfer window. Did nothing. They're showing it now, aren't they? Look at the names we're linked with, and we're gonna move on to the managers in a little bit. And this is what makes me laugh. We're still sitting here, and people are going, "Oh, this was all Frank. Oh, this started with Ange. Oh, this started with Conte throwing his toys out the pram." No, it didn't start with any of those managers. Whether you like them or not, it doesn't matter. It didn't start with them. There are football clubs that are very well run, and there will be fans that still like or dislike a manager, but it doesn't mean the club's badly run. It just means their preference of manager. I.e., let's look at Liverpool. What a well-run club Liverpool are. They're not living off oil money. Liverpool have won Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues recently. And now you've got fans that are, Arne Slot's great. And you've got fans going, Arne Slot's not good enough for Liverpool. The difference with that is that's on the manager, on the individual manager. When you look at Spurs, we've never been run properly. From a business point of view, sure. And I watched Stell last night on his show, and he was bang on. He was bang on. What he talked about, he did a really good one-man show yesterday on his channel. If you haven't subscribed, please get over to Mr. Stelios on Spurs for his new channel and smash that subscribe button. But I thought Stell was bang on when he said, everything ENIC do is just enough. It's just enough, isn't it? Just to appease the fans. Just enough to appease the fans. But they never kick on. They've never kicked on. They have never once said, look at this great position we are in. Let's really, really put out the risk. Let's go. Let's risk it. They have never once done that. We were flying high. We were doing well under Yol. Didn't want to back it. We were doing really, really well under Redknapp. Didn't want to back it. Really well under Poch. Didn't want to back it. And that's why we can sit here, and we're going to. By the way, I'm a massive hypocrite because everything I've just said, we're about to have a conversation about the next manager. But as I've said to you guys before, people always ask me in the chat, but who do you want as manager? And what do I say? I don't think it matters. I genuinely don't think it matters for the long term who the manager is, unless ENIC suddenly wake up and realise the error of their ways, or whether or not they continue to run the club as they are and pull the wool over the fans' eyes. And they have, haven't they? They've pulled the wool over everyone's eyes time and time and time again. We're changing. We're going to do. I've been duped by it before. We're changing. Oh, God. Okay, this is it. And then I look back and go, Savva, you idiot. How naive are you? Why on earth did you think that was changing? You know, deep down, I knew. Deep down, I knew it wasn't, but I allowed myself to believe. And we keep doing it. And we keep doing it. And this club is just unrecognizable from the club I grew up with. This club now is, I don't know what we are. You know, we buy bang average players now. We have no philosophy. We have no style. We are not well run. We are mocked. Spurs were never mocked. Like when I was growing up, before this Spursy thing came around, we were never mocked. We were known as a team that played good attacking football. And we were a cup team primarily, but now we're just mocked. And we go, oh, let the other fans say what they want, but it's embarrassing. And the other fans are starting to not be right. And it is poor decision after poor decision after poor decision. And I wouldn't mind it if in there was some great decisions. But the good decisions are kind of few and far between, aren't they? Nearly everything they do is just so few and far between. Think about it, right? In the last 10, 11, 12 years, 13, 14 years, name me one good attacker Spurs have signed. Name me a top attacker Tottenham have signed in the last 12, 13 years. So if we go back to 2012, 2013, who can name top attackers we've signed? I'll wait for the chat. Bearing in mind, there is the obvious one that springs to mind. There's the obvious one that springs to mind. And Bale was signed before that, by the way. It's one, right? It's one. One. People saying Aaron Lennon. Aaron Lennon was way before that, guys and girls. You've got to get your dates right here. Got to get your dates right. Harry Kane was not signed by Tottenham. Harry Kane came through the youth team. It's one, right? There is one top forward that Spurs have signed in about 13, 14 seasons. And we all know it is. And it is its son. Right. Exactly. Son. I don't think people are listening. By the way, when people are talking about Berbatov and Van der Vaart, listen to the years I'm giving you. Listen to the years I'm giving you. Berbatov was signed way before that. Yeah? Van der Vaart was signed in 2010. It's 2026, people. It's 2026. Yeah, if you count Alex Morgan for the women's team, she was a top player. Yeah, absolutely. But doesn't that kind of sum up the point? In 12, 13, 14 seasons, we have managed to sign one top forward. Or even one player that turned into a top forward. Let's take it one step back. One player that turned into a top forward. Son. Look at the players around. We've got Solanke, Richarlison, Llorente, Janssen, Vinicius, Valise, Unji, Nkudu, Danjuma, Lucas Moura. All right, if we really want to stretch and say Gareth Bale on loan, sure, but how bad is that? How bad is that? And when I'm talking about a top player, I'm not talking about players that are good. I'm talking about where's your Sons, your Kanes. And yes, it's more difficult to buy them now, but we haven't even bought any players that have turned into that lately, have we? No. Listen, no. People aren't listening. Moura wasn't bad, but he wasn't a top forward, was he? He wasn't Son. He wasn't Kane. He wasn't what Bale took. Like, you look down that era, and this is what ENIC have given us. Anyone name me a top central midfielder that Spurs have signed in the last decade? A top centre mid that we have signed in the last decade. So since 2016, a top centre mid we've signed. Who have we signed? You look at it. We had some okay ones. Dyer's played there. Bentancur's played there. Dembele was signed before that. Ndombele, Lo Celso, Sissoko, Bentancur, Basuma, Gray, Bergval. Who are we? Gedson Fernandez was, yeah. But you look at it again. So I've just given you the option there of forwards and centre mids. Listen to the names that we're rattling off, and then we wonder why we've done this. And a lot of those players played in the era of Son and Kane. And Son and Kane can paper over a lot. But I'm aware that Tottenham can't sign the best of the best. But we haven't even gone and signed an Adam Wharton. You know the way Palace bought Wharton from Blackburn, and now look at him. We haven't even done that with anyone. We haven't even done that with a single central midfielder we've bought. Let's be fair. Lo Celso was 5 years, 6 years of injuries. Not that impressive, to be honest. Ndombele, what a disaster that was. Sissoko, I mean, how bang average do you want to get? So, but this is years and years. This is not, oh, this is the last few years. This is years and years and years of doing this. Years of doing it. And that's absolutely right, Flicks. And there it is. We have not once implemented a proper scouting team. It is, Drooler, you're absolutely right. It's years and years of neglect. But we're still sitting here. We're still sitting here going, all you need. You saw yesterday, people in my chat came in, didn't they? All you need is a good manager. That will change everything. It starts with a manager. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. If it started with the manager, then Jose and Conte would have won things here. If it started with the manager, yeah, then we'd have top players because the manager just gets what they want, right? It doesn't. It starts up there. I've never known as well, by the way, a football club that 5, 6 summers and Januaries in a row don't realise they need to buy technical midfielders. I cannot fathom in my head. I cannot fathom in my head how year after year after year, the midfielders that are passing through this football club, we never signed any technical ones, do we? Now, not all of them need to be technical, but we don't sign any technical. They are absolutely getting what they deserve. And the fans, no, they don't deserve this. The owners deserve it. Years and years of neglect, years and years of buying badly, years and years of scouting terribly. And we can't even say it's money. Spurs in the last, what was it? I think I saw in the last 10 years, aren't we like the 4th or 5th biggest spenders in the Premier League? In the last 5 years, we've spent just shy of, I believe it was like 950 million in 5 years. That's a hell of a lot of money, people. And this is the squad they ended up with. But, Atletico Madrid want Romero. So? But, Van der Ven can go to Barcelona. So? It's about this team. It's about this squad. It's about this football club. My football club. Your football club. Our football club. Again, I used to have a banner that scrolled across the bottom, and I don't have it anymore. And it showed every forward, so i.e. winger or striker, that Spurs have signed since Son. And it was embarrassing. It was just a reel of average after average after average. And yet they all get their little following. We're doing it now with Tell. We're doing it now with Odegaard. We're going to do it with Yang. We'll do it. We've got probably some people who think Valise should play. But year after year, on paper, the team is good. On paper, based on what? Just on you. Based on what? These players are better than they're showing. Based on what? Based on what? Based on what? We've got years of evidence, people. We've got years of evidence. Years of it. And some choose to ignore it. Some don't want to see it. Some say opinion. Well, Surely the years of evidence isn't opinion anymore, is it? Surely the years of evidence turns into facts. Surely. You know, when I was growing up, right? And I'm going to go back some years here. So younger fans, I'm sorry. Older fans, you'll know exactly where I'm coming from. You can decide if you're a younger or an older fan. I'm not the one here to judge the age cutoff. When I was growing up, Spurs, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and say every Spurs player was amazing, but Spurs had players. Like, we had, like, at least real men. Do you know what I mean? Real men that fought for the badge, you know. But we had some good footballers when I was growing up. Like, depending on what era I want to go to, right? We had midfielders like David Howes. Now, David Howes, top pro, just a top pro. Is he going to win an award for being the best technical footballer you've ever seen? No. But David Howes was a senior pro who year after year got on with his job, was well respected by the fans, well respected by the club, won trophies at the club, did his job. We don't have that now. We don't have that now. We had Gaza. I mean, do I need to talk about Gaza? One of the greatest footballers I've ever watched play football. Spurs had Gaza. And I remember when I was younger, I remember it was like literally everyone just gave the ball to Gaza. Like whoever got the ball on the pitch, give it to Gaza. Players like Paul Allen. Again, he's not going to win awards for being the greatest technical footballer. But Paul Allen, every game, you knew what you were getting. And we could do this game forever. Now I look through and I go, who has put this squad together? Who over 5, 6, 7 years has let the squad go from what we had under Poch, well, the team under Poch, to the squad we've got now? And I see excuse after excuse after excuse. Oh my gosh, it hurts. Oh my gosh, it hurts. People fighting tooth and nail for their average player that they like, which Tell's got a little flat fan club. Bergval's got a little fan club. Romero, I'm even going to put him in there. Romero's got this fan club that can't let it go. Doesn't matter how bad he plays. Richarlison's got a little fan club, hasn't he? Solanke. Oh, Solanke's a... Who put these players together and went, this is worth £960 million? Who put this squad together and said, that's it? That's how we're closing the gap on the big boys. There's no, listen, different positions. You watch Gaza as a footballer compared to Kane. No comparison. Kane was a great striker, but no comparison. Hoddle. I saw Hoddle. I saw Waddle. For the older people in the chat, I'll let you tell them how good was Chrissy Waddle. You look at the wingers we've got now. We had Chris Waddle. We had players like Chris Waddle in this football team. We had Ginola. We had my mate Ginola. And I know people go, oh, you always talk about Ginola. Yeah, because those were the days when I went to the ground and went, I'm going to see something. When I see the fans raving about players now because they complete a pass or a cross, go and watch the videos. The younger people, go and watch the videos of this man with a football. This next person coming on is old enough to remember it. He doesn't need to go and watch the videos. But go and watch the videos of Gaza, Ginola, Waddle, Hoddle. Go and watch these players. Go and watch Luka Modric for anyone that doesn't remember him in a Spurs shirt. Go and watch these footballers and realise we're now praising every game, but he worked hard. Great. Cool. But he fights. Okay. But where's the quality? And unfortunately, this is why when people say to me, I've got an agenda on a player, why would I? Why would I have an agenda? Like a player I don't rate. Let's think of a player, Adogi. I don't rate Adogi at all. I don't know what he does. Right, each to their own. Why would I not want Destiny Udogie to be the greatest left back the Premier League has ever seen? It makes no sense. It just makes no sense. When people say agendas or narratives, why? I want Spurs to be the best. I want Spurs to have the best players. Rain, good day to you, sir. If I start sneezing like a crazy man, I apologize. Hay fever has won today. Hay fever is kicking my ass today, and I'm holding it together. And this big old Greek nose contains a lot of pollen at the moment. How are you, mate? Are you good?
I'm on the Lemsip. I'm under the weather as well, so I'll be muting at various points and blowing my nose and maybe having a little cough. But apart from that, I'm I'm really annoyed. I try to keep a relatively upbeat and positive outlook, but I'm really quite annoyed with my club at the moment. Really, really, really annoyed. You and I have been having really good chats over the last 8-9 months about the state of the club, and there's very little control almost no control we have over it. But I've always found it quite cathartic to talk about it, to be in the chat room, in chat and express myself. But the last couple of weeks, especially because I had a really, really crap day on Sunday, like the whole day, getting there, coming home. It's actually, I would say it's got to me a little bit in terms of Tottenham Hotspur. It's affected me more than it. Normally, I'm quite sort of rational and quite analytical.
Yeah,
and it's got to me. It's got to me quite a bit the last week or so.
but do you know the thing, Rain? What's interesting, that the more I speak to people off YouTube, right, when I speak to Spurs fans off and away from YouTube, and we're going to look at some manager stuff in a minute. We're going to look at what Romano said. We'll look at the manager odds and stuff. But the more I speak to people, there's this, it goes from an anger in their voice, a panic in their voice, Rain, to now it's that kind of resignation that people are now accepting that we're going down. And there's 21 points to play for, but people are literally sitting there now going, I don't see how this changes. I don't see where 2 or 3 wins are going to come from. And that's, I don't know if this is the right word. You'll tell me, you're brainier than I am. I don't know whether that's a cathartic feeling, whether that's a really, truly worrying feeling, or whether or not that's just what we've been grinded into by Tottenham Hotspur.
Just before I answer that, big up to, I've seen various people in chat. Seems that it does it feel to you like I don't know, we do seem to be coming together a bit. There does seem to be a bit more sort of unity in some of the chat rooms that I've seen. Maybe as people are coming round to seeing, where the actual problems are and unifying under that, people are not abusing each other or us quite so much. I'm seeing quite a few people, saying hi and being pleasant and having conversations, which is a lovely thing. I think it comes back, mate, to the Serenity Prayer, and
yes,
which essentially is a search for control. And a lot of life is about what you can and can't control. And which is why, like, the whole thing about the parade, the parade on Sunday, it is, I'm hating the black and white nature of what people want to present it as. Either you're good because you wanted to support the parade, or you're bad because you thought it was a stupid idea. And actually, what we can do as fans is go, well, do you know what? If you think that you've got some agency, if you go to the parade, fine, you go and do that. Yeah, you take responsibility for that, and you go and do that. But also respect people who go, I think you're absolutely out of your mind to go and let off flares outside a blacked out windowed bus for players who continuously let us down. Yeah, so that both of those opinions are correct, and these people are trying to get some control. The parade people are trying to get some control over creating. I know what they're doing. They're trying to create a positive environment because they think that will encourage better performance. And I don't disagree. I know. I bet you must have been in the stadium, right? When you must have been in the stadium when it's feeling a bit flat on the pitch and off the pitch. And something happens in the stadium, and there's a chant or something, and all of a sudden something happens on the pitch, and it I think you can insert some positivity into the players from pitch, and also you can if you're anxious, if the stadium's anxious, I think that can go into the players as well, right? There is kind of that human symbiosis, that human sharing of emotions.
Do you know the thing is, Rain, though, I've said I'm not really going to talk about this the parade anymore, because what I'm seeing is a lot of people are taking what I've said about the parade and going on to other channels and absolutely twisting my words on it. What I've actually said about it is I don't understand it. Each to their own. I don't know what they thought it was going to do, but each to their own. I'm not knocking anyone that does it. I just wish there was that kind of support for the removal of the owners. That's all I've said. That's all I've said.
Yeah, exactly. But my point on this actually is that the atmosphere in the stadium. Yes, I go every home game. There isn't a midweek game. I can't do midweek games. So I go every home game. The atmosphere in the stadium's been fine. It's been absolutely fine. It's we start off there's regular. We don't sing for players anymore, and I think that tells another thing, Sav. I think that says something about the players, right? But there's always a positive atmosphere until the players let us down. That's what happens. It's not that the fans are not trying to encourage the players. It's that the fans keep on being let down. Vicario has a bozo moment. Somebody has a red card, right? There's a mistake in defense that leads to a goal. But or somebody misses a shot. Or we have possession for 20 minutes, but we don't. Yeah, exactly. We're positive.
Exactly this.
Or we have possession for 20 minutes and not a single shot, and people start to get a little bit. Come on, guys, we're doing our bit. You need to do your bit. And so my bit about
for me, Rain, this was never about their confidence. The problem for me is I think a lot of people assumed that this was, if we sing to the players before the game, that will get them up 10-15%. My issue is not that these players aren't playing 10 to 15% better. My problem with this is, again, it's another game where they're set up poorly. Right, listen, I don't think the players are great, by the way, but I think I don't think they're relegation bad, by the way, Rain, but I don't think they're great. But the problem is, and this is what I was having this chat yesterday with my uncle, right? I was having this chat yesterday and said, when people say in the chat, but you predicted 7th or 8th or 6th, or when people say that, what they're not taking into account is human behavior. What they're not taking into account is form. What they're not taking into account is how quickly things can take a hold. So when you get into a bad run, it's very difficult to get out of that bad run, right? When you start losing lots of players to injuries, it's very difficult to go back to the best 11, because You haven't got it, right? So when people are going, oh, but you predicted 6th, or you predicted 7th, or you predicted 4th, none of that matters when you're in the current predicament. In the current predicament, all I want to see, and we're going to move on to that in a minute with the manager, all I want to see is a manager that will pick an 11 and stick with it. Pick a formation and stick with it. Give the team the best possible chance. Give them a puncher's chance. You know, remember they say, you know, boxing, there's always a favorite, but you're always one punch away from, you're a lucky punch away from winning, right?
Yeah.
But give them a chance. Set them up properly. Round pegs, round holes. That's all I want. And the problem we've got with Igor Tudor at the moment, and again, I don't blame him. I don't blame him for where we are, by the way. But the problem I've got with him being in charge is this week it's 3 at the back. Next week it's 4 at the back. This week it's 2 up front. Next week it's 1. These 2 in midfield this week. He's at right back this week. Then he's at left back. Then he's at right wing. How on earth do you get any form of consistency? Yeah. How do you build any confidence and consistency if it is different? We may as well have a different manager every game, Rain, that comes in and says, that's what we are with Tudor at the moment. We're just a box of chocolates. Like Forrest Gump said, you never know what you're going to get. Naturally, no, it wasn't Forrest Gump. It was his mum. His mum said that. You're on mute, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to switch over to my mic. Yeah, I think people need to take the biggest impact into our ability to stay up. I can't believe that that's how I'm phrasing it. Our ability to not get relegated this season has to be the medical situation, right? It absolutely is. There's many other factors, but if you're going to give a percentage, it has to be the fact that even if we didn't have a left winger, if we didn't get a left winger, but the fact is we couldn't keep Kudus on the pitch for a season, or even for like 50% of the season, apparently. We couldn't keep a team on the we couldn't keep a rational team, a consistent team on the pitch.
Yep.
To the point where when Frank was exited out, he had what, 3 or 4 games where he literally had 11 players. Literally had 11 players, and it wasn't which players is he going to pick. It's where is he going to put the 11 players that we've got?
Yeah.
On the pitch. So I don't, like you say, I don't blame the managers, and I definitely don't blame the players for that. And I definitely don't blame Romero for coming out after the January transfer window and having a little crash out. Because who I blame is the higher ups, the Lange, the Vinay's, who should have seen the situation that we had in January, and gone, yeah, do you know what? We're just gonna go all out to get some bodies in here. That's what they shouldn't have kicked the can down the road. They should have gone in, and they should have, whether it was going to still be Frank as the head coach, or they were going to get somebody else in, like you and I had said. They're not getting those players for the coach. They're getting the players for us, right? They're getting the players to play in the team. It doesn't matter who the coach is.
You know what, Rain? One of the things that frustrated me, and I say frustrated me, right? One of the things that frustrated me, and I see it every year, so I don't know why I let it frustrate me, was when others were losing their mind in the summer about how good this window was. My biggest issue was, again, if people actually take themselves away from, oh, we made 4 signings, and actually break down the squad, Rain. Like break down a squad, right? You look at it and you go, right, Spurs have arguably 1 left back in the entire squad who's not even a left back. Destiny Udogie is a left wing back. Like, this is what we went into the season with. Spurs have got arguably no right backs because Spence and Porro essentially are right wing backs. So we've started the season with a manager that plays a back four, but no actual fullbacks. There's my first gripe. We've started the season with one left-footed centre-half in the squad, Mickey van der Ven. Everyone else is a right-footed centre-half. Brilliant. We started the season with not one ball-playing midfielder. Loads of number 8s and Paulinho as a 6. Loads of different 8s who do different things, but no ball-playing midfielder. We started the season with no senior left winger. No proper seasoned left winger in the football club. When you actually break it down, if we take that one step further, Kudus was the only senior winger at the football club to start an entire season where you have 4 competitions to go into.
Yeah.
Right? Now, whatever people want to call Johnson or Taylor Roder, but one proper experienced winger of whatever you think of Kudus, of quality, right? One winger of quality. We started the season with one centre forward who was out for 6 months in terms of Solanke, one centre forward who we knew didn't want to be here and had already rejected us, and another centre forward who was a second choice striker for the last 3 years, right? When you break that down, is anybody surprised we are where we are now? So for all of those people going, what a good window. A window isn't just about bringing in 1 or 2 footballers. It's about addressing squad issues, right? Transfer windows as well are also about who's leaving the club.
Yeah.
And Tottenham last year, who left the football club? How many players left Tottenham Hotspur last year? Can anyone think? Some.
1.
Right? Højbjerg we knew was already gone because he played a year on loan at Marseille and it was an obligation to buy, right? Who left the football club? So again, when I look, and the whole point of me mentioning this, Rain, is when we want to put this all lot just on a manager or a player, this is not a surprise. Is it a surprise we're in a relegation battle? Well, the relegation battle bit is a surprise, but when you've got that many injuries, I guess not. But when you look at that squad, you have to say to yourself at the beginning of every season, what are we prepared for? Now, by the way, Matt, I am going to block you if you just start doing silly shit. Stop. If you're going to talk about Bastoni, just stop. I don't know how. I saw you earlier talking about Tino Livramento, who is wanted by Arsenal and Man City. You're not learning. Stop. Bastoni is not joining Tottenham Hotspur, right? On a good day. We're currently in a relegation battle. What part of you do you think Bastoni says, I'm leaving Inter Milan for Tottenham? Please learn. So the point of that, Rain, was you look down the road, you look at what Arsenal did. Where are we weak? All right, we've now got 2 left backs, 2 right backs, 4, 5 centre halves. We've got 5, 6 central midfielders, ball-playing midfielders, working hard midfielders, attacking midfielders. We've got 2 left wingers, 2 right wingers, 2 strikers. And you go, yeah, you've whatever you think of those players, they've addressed squad issues. Tottenham, year after year. Sorry for the rant. Year after year after year. The squad is not put together properly. And year after year after year, we sit in transfer windows and go, that was a really good window. That was a really good. And I'm looking going, but there's gaps everywhere. How was it a good transfer window?
And Arsenal are very, very good at getting rid of players, right? So, and they've done it. The way they've done it is night and day to the way that we manage our squad. Like they went out and got Ben White, and Ben White did the right back stuff for a little bit. And then they went out and got Timber and went, there you go, we've got a better right back now. And Ben White's just over there, just cooling his heels in the background. They keep on. They got Ramsdale, and they went, no, do you know what? You're out. Raya, you're in. They've continually they had Partey, and they went, do you know what? We need a bet. So they went and got Rice. Right? They continue it. They do what I call they fill from the top. Yeah,
of course.
They've got their glass and quality up here, you know, promising down here, and they keep on filling from the top. They keep on putting into the top, so the players that they've currently got sort of go down a bit, and then they drop out the bottom. What we do, unfortunately, is we fill from the bottom.
Yeah,
we get the way that we get promising players. We recruit based on physicality, not necessarily technicality. Although, you know, or maybe not enough of a mix, maybe is a better way to put it, because, you know, quite often they've got one but not the other. You know, like Archie Gray, decent technical player, looks like he's got, but he's nowhere near physically ready. Whereas Tell, great techers, he can do, but he just doesn't do the end product. We're always getting a 50% player. He's got 50% of what's needed. We keep on filling up from the bottom. So, and hoping that they're going to come in, they're going to get better, and then they're going to sort of swim to the top. And this is just it patently doesn't work. Yeah, we've now got enough information to show that if you fill from the bottom, if you continually treat yourself like a Brighton, like a Brentford, what you're doing is you're toying with the middle tier. We've seen so many teams do it. Southampton, Charlton, many teams throughout the years who've recruited well. They've had one bad season and then never come back. Yeah, that's just the way it goes. We should never, ever have treated ourselves like a Brighton, we should never have gone down that model. We should have done the Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City model of get players who are currently better than our current players.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not saying that we can go and get Berts, but get somebody who's better than our current, you know, attacking midfielder. You know, and get somebody who's got the skills, like you say, a ball-playing central midfielder who's going to come in and play now. Yeah. This promising recruitment strategy, it has to be binned. Whatever happens, well, if we go down to the Championship, it absolutely will not work. They will get torn up. They will get absolutely ripped up. But it has to be binned.
Let me bring in Philly. I mean, Philly, look, again, Philly, I see from certain people in the chat again that they're not quite getting it. Just Anthony Gordon will just sign for Tottenham. No one else, no one better than Spurs would want Anthony Gordon if he was available. Get Bastoni, get Livramento. Yeah, while we're at it, get Semenyo. Philly, what is it your mum used to say?
Those who don't hear must feel. Savva, I sat with you in the fhtv barbecue. I haven't had my invite this year, by the way. But yeah, I sat with you last year.
I haven't. Hang on. I haven't set a date for it yet, Philly. I haven't set a date. You know you'll be there.
Yeah, I know. Well, what I was going to say to you first and foremost is this, yeah? When it comes to time to observe and it comes to time to talk, in the summer, at the FHTV barbecue, I sat down there and I observed the window. I watched everything unfold. I watched Lubo, brilliant guy Lubo is. I watched so many other people talk, and I've certainly watched YouTube channels and I've heard them talk. And I sat there and I said to you, I would make my decision at the end of the window. We don't even buy for positional sense, Savva. We went through a window. We didn't buy a left winger. We didn't buy a ball-playing midfielder. And we had holes in that squad going into a Champions League season. They knew that AFCON before the season began. They knew all of this, it premeditated. Yet we went in there with holes in the squad, playing round pegs in square holes. Sooner or later, that was going to burst into people's face. And this is the thing, and this is what's happened. Because the injuries, were long-term to the likes of Kulu and Madison and etc. There were long-term injuries. There's no guarantee that these players will come back the same way. Yet we're relying on that right now, and hoping for miracles right now. And I'm looking at it and thinking, At what point do you actually stop back and look at the recruitment that happened over, and it's not even last summer, it's over and over again. Do we actually go to a window, Savva, and buy what we actually need? That is the question I'm going to ask.
We've been asking that, Philly. Do you know the problem is as well, right, Philly? One thing I see, by the way, for anyone that cares about the Euro qualification for the under-19s, England 19s are 3-0 up. And Emil Heskey's son has a goal and an assist. So there you go. Emil Heskey's son has a goal and an assist. And someone else called Chizaram Azemwata, who plays for Chelsea. I looked at the England team earlier, the under-19s England team, and it's just literally Chelsea City. Chelsea City. It's like I wonder where all the good youngsters are. Philly, the worrying thing about this, right, is when we go into windows, and I see fans do this, they go, right, all we need is a left winger and a midfielder. We're all right. I think we need everywhere. Like, I'm going to say this. This pisses fans off. I'm not impressed with this Van de Ven Romero partnership and never have been. Right?
Good.
I think we need centre halves. I think we need right backs. I think we need left backs. Right? I think we need centre mids. I think we need right wingers, left wingers, strikers. Have I just mentioned every position on the pitch? I think we need a goalkeeper. Right. So when we're saying we don't buy what we need, the problem is we kind of need everything. And we almost need a window. And I'm going to go completely against one of the things I hate, guys. And I hate it when clubs go out and buy 6 or 7 in one window and try and change things too quickly. Look at Liverpool, right? Mm-hmm. Look at Liverpool. However, Liverpool were changing from a team that won the title to something else. Mm-hmm. Spurs aren't that. We aren't anything. There's nothing for us to change too quickly. So for me, if we scrape and stay up and finish 17th, 16th, that would have been 2 years of being ridiculous, right? 2 years of terrible form. Surely then you go, right, let's scrap this. Let's get in a director of football and a manager that have the busiest summer ever. I'm talking 12, 13 going out, 12, 13 coming in, and we actually start to change this mentality in this squad. Because again, you keep Van de Ven, you keep Romero, you keep Porro, you keep Bentancur, Kulu, Richarlison, Solanke. These players are all part of this losing mentality, Philly. Agreed. These players are the ones that year in, year out for 3 years have been absolutely dreadful. But we just think, new manager, they're suddenly going to go, right, for manager number 6, we're going to be better. You know what I mean, Philly? Am I being too drastic, or is this absolutely needed?
Well, first of all, Savva, I'm going to say what I say in the chat every day, and it's denial is not just a river in Egypt, Savva. Denial of these players' ability is not a river in Egypt. When you look at the players that we have, I said on the 2 marks here, I don't just question their ability, I question their mentality. We've seen these players crack under pressure so much of the time, and the standards at Spurs are in the gutter. I have to say it, they're in the gutter. When you hear the player works hard, but what does he do footballing-wise? What is his ability on the football pitch? What does he show week in, week out on the football pitch? Does he do a long ball? Does he look for the long pass? Does he do the short pass well? How is his temperament on the football pitch? We don't even look at that.
What's his positioning? What's his football IQ? We don't care about that. I had this row, didn't I, with Sean yesterday or the day before about Sarr. When he's going to me, he won his ground duels. I'm like, right? A midfielder's job is not just winning. A midfielder, like, you're a central midfielder. Your job is everything. All right, he won, I think his ground duels, I think he had 5 ground duels and 185. Sure, brilliant. But this is where we've got to now. This is how we're judging footballers. We're not saying he was overrun, he can't pass a ball, his awareness, he lets players run off him. It's he won some ground duels. It's like, no, this is where we've got to.
Yeah.
Other clubs aren't getting to the end of a game and going, Declan Rice was good today, won a ground duel. We're using our eyes and going, how good was Declan Rice for Arsenal? How good was Enzo for Chelsea? But this is where we're at. This is where we're at, Philly.
I would say everything you've said, plus, what's their character? What what life events have they had that they've had to overcome? And that's why getting 18-year-olds is risky, because you don't know what their character's like. They've not had, okay, they might have had, experiences, but largely, most of them will have been underneath the parental umbrella, right? They haven't had any personal experience that they've had to overcome, which is why Ferguson, Sir Alex Ferguson, used to go and visit the people who he was going to recruit, the players who he was going to recruit. What's your home life like? You'd go and meet their parents. He would he famously would try and get them married, so that they settled down. They had a supportive environment at home, and he was really upset that Beckham got together with Victoria, with Posh Spice, because that wasn't the type of it. This all matters. So it's not just how are they going to deliver on the pitch. It's not just how are they going to train. It's how are they going to react in bad circumstances. And who do we get? Ndombele, Bissouma, right? These are the type of players. These are the type of people who we're regularly and routinely bringing into our club. And then we're wondering why, when the going gets tough, do we not get everybody moving forward in the right direction? It's because we're not doing our acquisition. We're not going to those people and getting the right people into our club.
But Rain, the thing is, ENIC had the right people in situ, because we had David Pleat doing that and going to the players and scouting. But now we've gone down this data-led model. We don't do that anymore. So we don't know the player's character before we even buy them. And if we had done that, we say like Dembele, right? There was notions of Dembele before he left France that he was a wayward character already. And this is why the big clubs left him, and Spurs ended up picking him up. And he carried that with him. His bad attitude, he carried with him. But had we have done that extensive scouting and had someone like Pleat go and visit him in France, we would have known that already and to stay clear. But this is the problem when he says, how much can a technical director or a DOF do? How much is the club impact their job? Because like I said, this data-led model isn't good for the fact of scouting. But how much control do they actually have at Tottenham Hotspur? That's my question right now. And this is why I tend to leave Savva. It's not one go, all go.
Do you want to hear something funny? Welcome, Cookie. And we're going to look at the manager in a minute. Do you want to hear what someone sent me this morning and I thought was absolutely worryingly spot on, right? That if you look at our last two managers, Ange banged on about winning mentality, right? Frank banged on about the no dickhead policy. And what we've actually ended up with is the complete opposite to both of those things. We've ended up, right? We've ended up with the complete opposite. We are a team that has a losing mentality and a bunch of loads of dickheads who don't play for the badge, who don't fight, who more worried about Instagram. And, when I was sent that voice note, I was like, oh my God, this isn't a YouTuber, by the way. I was like, you're absolutely spot on. Everything we have said we want, we've got the opposite. We want to fight on all four fronts. It's the opposite. We don't want dickheads. It's the opposite. We want winning mentality. It's the opposite. We want to play front-footed attacking football. It's the opposite. This is why when people say to me, words don't mean anything. Actions mean something, right? I keep hearing that one of the big things that's always thrown at me is, Savva, you don't rate this squad, but when they move on, this club will want this player. This club, sure, you're always going to get that, right? When Leicester City went down, James Maddison went to Tottenham, who are bigger than Leicester City, right? You're going to get that, right? Robertson left Hull to go to Liverpool, for example. Like you're going to get these scenarios where people leave a club and it's bad. And look at McTominay. McTominay left Man United. It was a shit show. He goes and wins Player of the Year in Serie A, right? Mm-hmm. That's fine. But when I say the squad isn't good, I'm going by data, I'm going by facts, I'm going by results, I'm going by performances, I'm going by attitude. And still every day I'm told these players are better than we're seeing. And they're not. And Cookie, I want to bring you in here, right? I want to bring you in here. Good morning, Cookie. I watched your show this morning. As always, I liked it. You were reading out last week's comments for this week, and next week you'll read out this week.
What can you do?
Yeah, it's hard though, isn't it? When you do a show and you're only reading out comments, keeping up with them is bloody difficult. I'm going to show you a few things just after I've done this. Big up to LJ. Thank you very much. You said this club has spent 350 million on under 21 children since Poch arrived. Over 110 million in the past 2 seasons. This FM Wonder Kid transfer policy is a joke. LJ, do you know what? As much as I agree with that, and I do, it's also the caliber of the senior pros they're bringing in just aren't good enough. Solanke, Richarlison, you know, these players aren't good enough for me. They're just not good enough. The Dragashins, they're not good enough. But big up to you. Completely agree with you. The policy, whatever it's meant to be, isn't working. Big up to 3-star Reds. I said, Maranakis camouflaged the Forest bus and it worked. Yeah, he is a Nottingham Forest fan. I don't want to talk about the parade. I'm not going to, but I just wonder, did it spark more life into Forest than it actually did into Tottenham? But hey, big up to you, 3-star Reds. Very generous. We'll take the banter. We deserve it. And big up to Rinketic. Hope you're well, my man. He said, the year Liverpool won, they were afraid that Man City would buy Kane and Spurs buy Martinez. Today, Lautaro would not even pick up the phone. Look, Liverpool are an interesting one, right? There were so many people, thank you so much, Rinketic. There were so many people, mate, that in the summer that were just going, oh my God, look at Liverpool. Liverpool have bought all these top players. Look how great they're going to be. And I think that should be a show. Sorry, that should be a demonstration and an example to everyone that it's not just about buying all the best footballers. You have to buy for your system. The problem Spurs have got, we don't have a system to buy for. So we end up just buying a lot of square pegs in square holes. Liverpool tried too much too quickly, and now Salah's going as well. How are you replacing Salah? Let's see what Liverpool are made of. Cookie, thank you for your patience. Right. I'm going to show you just a few things, right? First and foremost, I'm going to show you this. Now, the title of the show, Cookie, is The Next ENIC Victim, right? And I don't make any apologies for that. Now, these are the odds for the next Spurs manager. Now, this is for the permanent manager. These are the permanent manager odds. Okay, so you've got De Zerbi is the favourite at 1-2. Adi Hutter, who's suddenly come out of nowhere this week and he's at 4s. Sean Dyche and Mason are at 8s. Poch is at 10. Keane is at 10. Then go down a bit further. You've got Harry at 14s. Enzo at 20s. Glasner at 25. And then Nagelsmann, Silva and Rodgers and McKenna and Iriola and Lampard and Southgate and Terzic at 33. Now, when I look at those managers, Cookie, that screams to me of a list of Spurs don't know what league they're going to be in next year. Because Ryan, he's your next permanent manager if you're Premier League. Dyche at 8-1. There's no way Sean Dyche is going to be considered at Tottenham if we're a Premier League manager. I've talked a lot there. What do you make of that list? And what does it say about the absolute shit show that these owners are and they don't have a clue?
Well, they ain't got a Scooby Savva at the end of the day. Look, last night, Hutter was 1-33.
Is that joking. To be the interim?
To come in, be the interim.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. He was 33-1 on. Let me just explain that for people that don't know. That means for every £33 you would put on that manager, you would get £1 back on top of your £33. That is a massive, massive odds on. That says he's coming. But then you've put those up just now, and he's 4-1.
That's permanent, right?
Right.
So
okay.
maybe he was 33-1 on for
interim.
For interim, right?
Yeah, could be.
And this is the difficulty, Cookie. I did this on yesterday's show. Spurs right now, we're trying to hire for 2 managers, aren't we? We're looking at now, and then we're looking again in May. This is Only Spurs. Only Spurs.
Yeah, it is only Spurs, mate. Listen, I was on the show this morning. I feel like we've got to the stage where we're at our wits' end, right? There's, like I've said before, that there's nowhere for ENIC to go now. I've no doubt you'll speak about other stuff as well. There's rumours that, you know, there's bus parades going on for the home games for the rest of the season, all that sort of stuff. And there's nothing about what's going on about getting ENIC out. But going back to the managers, Savva, I just don't think they've got a Scooby, mate. We were saying, and we have been saying since probably Tudor lost to Arsenal, Fulham and Palace, that people that know the club have now got to come in. Is that the last throw of the dice?
Sure,
Whether or not that would work or not, which it probably wouldn't, yeah, but get some Spurs people in that know the club, and with 7 games left, at least see if that makes any difference. From what I'm seeing on the pitch and from what I saw, as probably Rain did on Sunday, was a load of players that weren't particularly great in the first half, but stayed in the game. Then as soon as we went 1-0 down just before half time, the heads dropped, right? And then when we went 2-0 down after 62 minutes, we might as well have not been on the pitch. I thought it was an absolute disgrace, disgraceful from the players, yeah, on the sort of dough that they're on every week. The least they can do, yeah, is put that shirt on with a bit of pride. And, you know, I was one of the ones that said after the Atletico game, look, they've showed they've got a bit about them. Now carry that on against Forest on Sunday. And they didn't, mate. And for whatever reason that is, there can be plenty of things that we can throw out there. But it's just a simple fact that for whatever reason, Savva, they're not picking their feet up in the league. There's, you know, Archie Gray weren't brilliant against Forest, but you could see that he was trying. He was trying. Whatever you think of them as players, he was trying. First half, this is, right? Second half, absolute shit show. They give up, mate. And I think it's disgraceful. Well, sorry, that's just where I am with it, Sav.
No, mate, listen, look, I make you right. I was having a chat with, when I was walking the dog yesterday, I always have a little chat with Lubo. It's always good fun. I said to him, look, the one thing I can't knock from the weekend was Dance, Hotel and Gray. I can't knock their work rate. I can't knock their fight. And it's a shame I don't see it from Van der Ven. I'm not seeing it from Romero. I'm not seeing it from Solanke or Porro. But whether it's their ability, the ability is a conversation for another day. Right now, it doesn't matter what their ability is. This is who we've got. But, I mean, Rain, Philly, the interesting thing, when you look down that list, and it is difficult, and I was speaking to Stel this morning about this, when we're talking about, is Sebastian Kell coming in as director of football? Is Poch coming back? At the moment, Matt, if you're going to be an idiot, I'm just going to get rid of you, mate. That's your second morning of the show. Right? Just grow up. I think everyone in the chat is telling you they want you to grow up a little bit, mate. Please stop. Everything you've said today so far has been really silly. Please just stop. Please stop. Listen to the words that came out my mouth. Please just stop. I'm a Spurs fan. I'm not an Archie Gray fan, right? I'm not like you. I don't have this weird little cult for one footballer. I leave that to Lubo for Gray and Sean for Tell. I don't care. I just want to see good footballers at my club. Guys, what I think that shows is that we don't know what we're actually hiring for. Right? So as much as we're getting onto the board, and by the way, this is all they're doing, so I don't feel sorry for them. Let me just make that very clear. At the moment, they must be in between a rock and a hard place, because for the summer, they don't know what they're hiring for. They don't know whether or not they're speaking to, they could go right now to Iriola, just for example. The first thing Iriola's agent is going to say is, we'll wait and see what league you're in, right? De Zerbi, yeah, I ain't taking that for 7 games. I'll wait and see what league you're in. People saying, just go and get Poch. If he loves us this much, he'll join now. Why? Why would you? boys on the top row, do you see what I'm saying? Like, they don't know what they're hiring for right now.
I agree, Savva. It's the devil and the deep blue sea, a rock and a hard place for them right now. When you look at what, when you look at, mate, you're always eating. I always say this to you. I said this to you last year, by the way. But anyways, let me just say it now, yeah, right? It's devil and the deep blue sea for ENIC when it comes to what managers they bring in, because every manager is going to be looking at and thinking, do they actually want to be part of this mess? And it is a mess. When any director of football is looking and thinking, do I want to be associated with this mess? Because remember, Tottenham are a big club, and to have Tottenham go down under your tenure, that will damage your reputation as a manager. So they're thinking, do I really want that on my reputation right now?
Also, Philly, how would let's use the Zerbi because he's the favourite. People are going, just get him. If he wanted us, he'd come now. If you're De Zerbi, you are a manager that's famous for the style of play that he plays, right? This isn't a manager that's famous for relegation battles. This isn't a manager that comes in and puts out fires. This is a manager that implements a style of play. Yeah. Billy, you're not implementing jack shit in 7 games, right? You're not. With these players, you are not coming in and going, right, we're going to do... You're not, right?
You're looking for instant impact. This is where I tend to agree with like, you know, when we had Ramos, yeah, and we had the Harry Redknapp come in at that point, at that juncture, you need that instant uplift, yeah, in form, and you need that kind of manager to come in there and basically, like you said, put their arms around the players, yeah, and try and get them G'd up for the last few games, and hopefully something can happen. But like I said on the Cookmaster show, I don't really care if Spurs go up or go down, because after I'm looking at it from, if they go down, they would have deserved to go down. And if they stay up here, will they actually learn from last year where we finished 17th and actually implement something this time? And this is why I said I don't really care if they stay up or go down.
Well, right.
So I watched with interest the philosophy versus goal discussion. Was it Monday night? And let's look at some other clubs, right? Let's look at some other clubs. Liverpool, Fenway Sports Group, come in. They're a sporting organisation. They know how they want a sports club to work. They've come in. They've hired someone with football knowledge to basically consult and to do that leadership role. They're Michael Edwards. Was it Michael Edwards? I think if I remember rightly.
Yeah, it's Michael Edwards.
Yeah. And then what they've done is they have implemented an approach to how to run the football club, right? From the top down, and it's clearly been, buying the right players, blah, blah, blah. Blue Lake. Okay, whatever you want to say about Chelsea, Blue Lake have come in and they have a clear idea of how to run, recruit, high turnover. Yeah, whether it's going to work or not, they're definitely throwing resources. They've got a clear strategy of how this should work. Man City, clear strategy. There's no strategy. There has never been any strategy.
No strategy.
At Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. There's never been a consistent approach. We've just lurched from one way of doing things to another way of doing things. We've gone from a pragmatic manager in Conte to an attacking manager in Ange. We've gone from win now managers like we've gone from a manager who is capable of bringing through youth and incorporating them within a team of good quality players in Poch, to Jose and Conte who just want the players who are ready now. They just give me the right players and I will build and I'll give you success. We've gone from Ange to Frank. Right? There is no consistency in the way that this club has been run. But what anyone wants to say about Levy being, whatever he's done and he's not here now, it's irrelevant. The fact is that for the last 15, 20 years, last 15 years, wow, you cracked through those, mate. Last 15
Hang on, there was
years.
three. Hang on.
Yeah,
There were
yeah,
three.
yeah,
There were
yeah,
three
yeah,
hot knobs left. I have
yeah,
not
yeah,
just done a whole packet of biscuits
all
for
right,
5
okay,
minutes.
Yeah.
There were three left. All right.
There's no photographic proof of that. The
Trying
last
to make
50
me out to be
years,
some big fatty.
the last 50, you are light years away from a fatty, mate. You are trim and slick. The last 15 years, we have lurched from one approach to the next.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely, there's no consistency. So we absolutely need, and I think the whole Frank, Lange, Vinay thing, I'm gonna be very consistent here. I think when they came in the summer, the three of them, they were trying to implement an approach. Now, as it works, no, clearly not. They were trying to, and I don't think Lange is good enough, but they were trying to implement an approach to deliver that. Without that, you're always going to be lurching from, are we going to hire De Zerbi or Sherwood? These managers are not, are we going to get this guy or that guy? You absolutely need to know how you're going to run your football club, and then get the people who fit it and who will go forwards with it. And we don't do that. There's nobody doing that at our football club. And so is it any surprise that nobody's got a Scooby-Doo?
No, of course.
Ray, sorry, Savva, can I just take this bit from Rainy? I'm going to say, when we brought Thomas Frank in the summer, right? It's all good bringing a manager in, but if you don't give them a fighting chance to do something, what is the point in bringing the manager to the football club? Now, we went through a summer window, where we didn't buy a left winger, and I'm going to use this prime example, They knew Son was leaving. The year beforehand, they knew Son was already slowing down. When is the last time Spurs have gone out there and bought a left winger? Because Savva did this earlier, we haven't bought this player, that player, but I'm going to say left winger position. When is the last time Spurs bought a proper recognised left winger? Because even Odegaard is a right winger, was playing on the left-hand side because we didn't buy a left winger. Now, that is fundamental. If you've got a right, you've got a left. So you needed to have a left winger at some point in this season. We did not buy one. Even in the January window, we never even rectified it. They didn't even attempt to rectify it. And that was so bad, it was funny. We've gone through a whole calendar year and we still haven't solved the problem. And it's the same with the ball-playing midfielder. 6 years it's been since Dembele's left, but yet we still haven't attempted to even fix that position. So what are you expecting the manager to do when he has fundamental positions and profiles of a player missing in their squad? What are you expecting them to do exactly? Because you're expecting miracles, which is why I stood back and just watched Thomas Frank and said that I have no decision, I have no judgment on Thomas Frank. I just thought, leave it.
Well, look, I make you right. And do you know the funny thing, Philly, is once upon a time, I used to say we've not filled that position. But right now, we don't have any way of playing or system that I don't even know what that position is. Do you know what I mean? Like back in the day, you'd say, well, you've got to replace Dembele because we know that there's that missing slot in the style. Right now, I don't even know. When people say to me all the time, Philly, what players are you buying in the summer? I don't know. I don't even know who the manager is, and I don't know what league we're going to be in. Exactly. People going like it's like when people say just go and get, I don't know, just go and get XYZ. Sure, but what if the new manager doesn't want that player or that player doesn't fit the new manager's philosophy? What if, so right now, how can we even be talking about which players we want to see come in? I can talk about players I like. Do I like Adam Wharton? Yeah, I'd love an Adam Wharton. Do I think an Adam Wharton's going to join Tottenham? I absolutely do not. I don't think Adam Wharton looks like a stupid lad. And I think he would look at the state of this football club and go, absolutely not. Is that where I want to go? Like, let's be, and I know, Philly, I'll come back to this in a second. I know people hate me saying that, but absolutely right now, if I am Adam Wharton's agent and Spurs ring up, I am advising my client, keep them there. Keep Spurs there in the background, but I reckon I can get you better. Do you know what I mean? Let me put the feelers out to Arsenal, City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United. Like Man United, he'd be perfect at Man United, right? Right? And this is where our fans and I watched Barnaby yesterday on Sean's show, and I don't agree with everything Barnaby says, but I really agreed with his point when he was saying, again, these are players. There are players that we should get that we don't, and we mock. And he used someone like Nico Williams of Forest. His example. Nico Williams is a solid Premier League fullback that does his job. If Spurs bought him, our fans would go, oh, he's shit. He ain't as good as Dogie. But solid Premier League players. John McGinn, Philly, how many times you see me up here going, I want Spurs to buy a version of John McGinn, not John McGinn at his age. I want a John McGinn. You got people in the chat that would always go, he's no good. Well, he's about to captain Villa to another, unless they crumble, another top 4 and Champions League campaign, right? But not good enough for Tottenham Hotspur, Philly. And this is where we're at. Do I want Adam Wharton? Absolutely. Gordon was talked about in the chat. Do we truly believe on this panel that if Anthony Gordon is on the open market this summer, do we not think that somebody else goes and gets him? Like, if we could get him, great. I don't think he's going to have shortage of offers, right? And yeah, part of me is talking about you, mate, because you just say silly things because you don't actually have a look. And this is where we need to be clever. We need to be smart.
Savva, I said this, yeah, and I think you've adopted it over the time, yeah. Spurs buy random pieces of a puzzle and they force it together. They say that to the manager, say, look, get on with it. And that's why I just step back in the summer and say, mate, this is gonna be good. All right, first and foremost. Now, when you look, if you're a potential player, yeah, and like Adam Wharton, you're going to go to a club of a direction because this is going to be a big move for you. You want to go to a club here that is going to be winning something or challenging. And Aston Villa is a prime example of that. Look at Aston Villa, yeah. Not only are they going for top 4 support, they're actually in the way to actually winning the Europa League, which we did last season, because they're still in that tournament. So
Philly, let me give you an example.
Philly,
can I give you a live example, right? Right now on Sky Sports News, right? I've got Sky Sports News on the TV next to me. Right now, the transfer show are talking about Sandro Tonali, right? Now, that's the sort of player, because that's the sort of player that fans in our fan base will go and get Sandro Tonali from Newcastle, right? Which 3 clubs are Sky Sport? They've got Sandro Tonali interest and they got 3 club badges above it. Which 3 club badges do you think is above the interest for Sandro Tonali?
I'll say Arsenal, Man City, and probably Man United as well, because they're going to fix their midfield in the summer.
Absolutely bang on. It's the exact 3. Arsenal, City, United. We would have Spurs fans going, if you don't go in for him, you don't know. But you do, right? You do know. Sandro Tonali is not going to look at those 3 football clubs and go, you know what? I want to join Spurs, because they finished 17th and 17th too. Like, it blows my mind. I want to talk about this quickly, guys. I want to start with you, Cookie. Look, Fabrizio Romano has said that Tottenham are still assessing internally. I love this. We assess a lot, don't we, internally? The best options for managerial situation to evolve in the next days, stroke the summer. Roberto De Zerbi is the favourite from June, and the Italian manager open to discuss this summer. But Marco Silva is also being discussed internally. Now, I want you to start with Cookie. I want you to start with Silva, and then I want to move to Rain for De Zerbi. Don't worry, everyone will get a chance to talk about all of them. But Marco Silva's another one where I don't mind him as a manager, Cookie. I think he does a good job. I think he struggled years and years ago when he joined the Premier League, but I think he's got a really good grip of it. He always has Fulham in and around that 9th, 10th place, losing players, bringing in other players, small budget. But again, isn't this going to be another one where he'll join and all that will be thrown at him will be, he's not managed a big club, he's not won a trophy, this is another Frank. What do you make of this?
I don't think Marco Silva would knock Fulham on the head to come to Spurs. Are you talking about as interim, Savva, or permanently?
No. He's definitely not going to leave for a 7-game gig. No.
Listen, I think you was right what you said earlier on. They're in ENIC are in a rock and a hard place now because they don't know what's going to happen between now and the end of the season. I just think it's really difficult, mate, because we haven't got anyone within the club that seems to know what they're doing on the football front, e.g., hiring managers, players being bought for different managers over the course of the last 2 or 3 years. It's just a mismatch, Savva, and I just think whoever comes in at the moment, honestly, if you want me to give you my honest opinion,
please,
of what should happen
no
to
lies,
Tottenham Hotspur.
no lies, no lies,
no lies, just realism.
Yeah, realism channel.
Give me the realism. Yeah, have a reset, total reset, Savva. Whatever happens, up or down, yeah, the board and whether they'll do it or not, 25 years of evidence tells you they probably won't do it. But the board, if they're going to stay, as you and Phil and Rain have said many times, have got to align to a manager, to DOFs, and to a player and to players. Yeah, and if we're not going to do that, then where do we go? Because all we're going to be is whatever manager comes in, unless you get lucky. Yeah, it's. I just don't know where we go with it. And you're spot on, mate. 7 games. If you stay up, you're looking at a different manager to if you go down. And I think they're right in between. Marco Silva's an okay manager. He's done the biz with Fulham. He's kept them sort of, like you say, 9th, 10th. I can remember back in the day with the Watford and the Everton saga, if you remember back in the day when he was a manager with Watford, and they said he was finished because he had done whatever he had done, walked away from one and gone to another one and all that. But he ain't done too bad, has he? He hasn't done too bad. But
well, can I ask you, Cookie? I want to ask you, though, on that, and I'm just bringing up Fulham's league finishes, by the way, under Silva. I'm not sure if someone could tell me what year he joined. That would be great. But the interesting thing for me here is we have this, I think we have an arrogance about us at Spurs, not just the fans, I think the club as well. And the whole Thomas Frank thing's interesting because when we talk about loads of people say, oh, he still thinks he's at Brentford. I'm like, yeah, but for 3 years now, Brentford have got more points than Tottenham. Brentford are actually run better than Tottenham. Fulham right now. Fulham for the last 3 years have got more points than Tottenham.
Yep.
Right? They're better run than Tottenham. Are we in a position, Cookie, where as much as everyone says, oh, we want Luis Enrique, and are we not that club? Are we, like, at the moment when we're talking about this, are we being arrogant to the point where we realize we actually need a manager like that just to give us 2 or 3 years of stability before we go again, which is what I think Thomas Frank wanted. I'm not saying it worked out, but I think that's what Thomas Frank was trying to get at, right? Was that this was a long-term thing. So I'm not rooting for Silva, by the way. I'm just trying to find a bit of a devil's advocate as to why we're after that list of managers. Was not sexy. That was not a sexy list of managers.
No. Listen, he could come in. Like you say, Sav, I don't think we're going to go from, as proved over the last 2 years, we're not going to go from all of a sudden this 17th place team, if we stay up, to be challenging for top 4. The likelihood of that is,
sure.
You know, and I get what you're saying. Small steps, you know, you get a manager in that can, I don't know, find that level ground, if you like, and build you up slowly again. He's managed to get Fulham on a steady, like you say, a steady level. They play some half-decent football at times, which we haven't seen, you know, for a long time now. Would he be my choice? I don't know. But you are right. He is the type of manager that comes in and maybe next season just sort of levels it out a bit, you know, gets us up to maybe finishing in that 9th or 10th spot, and then you go again the following season and so on. But whether they would give him the time to do that, Savva, I don't know, because they didn't give it to Frank, did they?
But the thing is, it's not just them, Mark. It's not just them. Look at the fan base. The fan base, after about 10 games of Thomas Frank, had already made their mind up that the way he's talking is like he's still at Brentford. And it's like, sure, I get that we're a much bigger club than Brentford historically, and of course, and yet, but 17th again. Are we starting to get to the point where we've got to take a little bit of a step back and go, right, we're not the cool kid in school anymore. This is like, you know, in those American TV programs where you get the cool kids and then you get the geeks, right? We're not the cool kid anymore. No. We're sitting at the table with all the unpopular kids. And I know that sounds horrible, but that's where we are. And I'm still seeing fans go, we must bring in a winner. Cool. What winner wants to walk into this? What winner wants to walk into this and say, yeah, I'm a winner, but you're not ready to win? What winner?
Savva, you know how the saying goes, innit? Arrogance comes before a fall, right? And for years, we've watched this going on. And like I said, yeah, it doesn't matter who the manager is at some stage, because I look at this, we've had winner managers, like Ray said earlier, you've had Mourinho, you've had Conte. They don't get listened to, and we don't buy what they actually need to be successful. So there's no point hiring those managers. We needed after Conte, yeah, and after Ange, we needed stability within the football club. This is why I looked at Thomas Frank and said, you know what, just give him what he needs. Get rid of the players that you need to get rid of and allow him to build from the bottom down, because he's done that with Brentford. At least we've got evidence of him doing that at Brentford, where he's came in there and rebuilt a team. That is what we needed at Tottenham Hotspur, stability. This is why I didn't give a damn where Spurs finish in the league. Remember, I said this to you at the time. I don't care where Spurs finish in the league. You could finish 16th for all I care, because it's a rebuild process. It's a build that you need to go on. We have so many players in the squad here that are well and truly here. And this is what I'm going to say about the fans here. We are clingy in nature, Savva. The likes of Romero should have gone years ago. Last year, at least, he should have been gone to. And we've got so many players that are hanging on, and you're thinking, what are you actually here for? It's better if we just get rid of you. Yeah, Spurs won't buy any better. That's not an excuse. Just get rid of them, man. It's time now. I wouldn't shed a tear if any of the players left.
So it starts with understanding the culture, right? Of what you're dealing with. Okay, I'm going to come back to it. You know, I had the discussion with Lubo about culture, and I just don't think Lubo gets it. I think Lubo thinks about, how do I, as a leader, get the people I'm working with working right. And when you're dealing with 60,000 people in a stadium, that approach doesn't work. You've got to understand the culture of a football club, and the culture is everybody here, what they think without being told. Without being told, this is how you think, that's what they naturally think. And we always come back to Frank, right? The fans rejected Frank because he came in and he went, we're going to lose some games. It's just reality. Tottenham fans don't want to hear it. He came in, he played a double pivot, because that's literally what he had, and Tottenham fans went, we don't play double pivot, we don't want this. This is too defensive for us. And Frank reacted to it, and I'll be honest, I think we've been in the crapper ever since. You have to.
The data doesn't lie on that one, Rain. I showed the data yesterday since we dropped the double pivot of Paulinho and Bentancur, how it went like that. But everyone was. That midfield doesn't work. Well, it was winning points and wasn't conceding goals. So, you know.
But the problem is, but the problem is not that he played the double pivot. The problem is not that Spurs fans went, this isn't working. The problem is that in the summer they didn't build the squad so that he didn't have to play a double pivot. That's the problem. Right. Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. The problem, he had to play a double pivot. And everyone went, we don't want you to play a double pivot. And he went, and he went, okay, I'm not going to play a double pivot. It didn't work because we didn't have the players to play it. We didn't have the creative midfielder who can sit there alongside, a single pivot to feed off. We just don't have that player. So we can't play it. it would never have worked if Fenway Sports Group came into Liverpool and went, we are going to play defensive out. The way that Liverpool is going to work is we're only ever going to buy young players who might be good, might not be good. And we're going to play pragmatic, defensive, counter-attacking football. The Liverpool fans would have gone absolutely berserk, because that's not the culture of Liverpool Football Club. I remember John Barnes doing an interview, and he said, because he went from Watford to Liverpool in his second training match, he turned around to one of the coaches and said, what do you want me to do here and there? And they went, we've just paid huge amount. It wasn't actually in these days. You've just paid a huge amount of money for you to come in and play for this football club, and we expect you to know what you want, what you have to do. And that is a top football club, right? You get a player and you expect them to know their job. You come in and you do your job. You're a left winger, do it. Go out there and do it, and go out there and build relationships.
But those were the days when everyone knew what your system was, right? Like, and again, this is what I say. When I see people in the chat say, this isn't the right man, this is the right man, how can anyone know who the right man is when none of them have been the right man under ENIC? It's like, you know, we've seen 25 years of evidence and about 17 or 18 managers. None of them have worked. And if people want to say, oh, but Ange won a trophy, sure, so did one day Ramos. He wasn't the right man either, right? If you actually look at the bigger picture, who is the right man? I don't think there's an answer. And I'm going to show you this, guys. Look, let's look at this, right? Hopefully that comes up all right on the screen. Look at this. This is, I mean, I can go back further. We can go back to every Spurs manager, by the way. This is a list of Spurs managers with their tenure, which is what I want to look at more here, the number of days and the matches. If you look, since Pochettino, and that is, for anyone that can't read that small, Pochettino's reign was 293 games. Since Pochettino's reign, there is only one manager that has managed over 100 games. Now, let's break that down. That's basically 2 seasons when you add in league games and cup games in Europe. That's basically 2 seasons. So since Pochettino, right? But look before Pochettino, Sherwood, 28 games. Villas-Boas, 80, right? If we go down, Redknapp was the outlier with 198, right? One day Ramos, 54. Yol managed 147. Santini had 13. Pleat had 39. Hoddle, 104. How on earth can we build as a football club when look at the number of games scattered across all of these football managers, right? And still fans don't get it. But if we bring this manager in, it will be different. But this manager, all we need is the, now we're back to bring if Poch comes back, look at it. Look at these names. We have had some of the greatest, Conte, Jose, right? We've had up-and-coming managers, right? In Poch, Villas-Boas. We've had caretakers in Sherwood and Stellini. We've had gung-ho attacking managers in Ange. We've had sensible managers that know the Premier League in Thomas Frank. We've got people that don't know the league and a survival specialist like Igor Tudor. Look at this. This is absolutely shocking, guys. This is how Tottenham Hotspur, and that only goes back to, by the way, that only goes back to 2008. So that goes back to when we won the League Cup, right? This goes back. We're going back, what's this, nearly 20 years. This is 18, 19 years now. Look at the state of that. Now look at some of our rivals. What have Arsenal had in that same 18-year period? What have Arsenal had? Wenger, Emery, Arteta, unless I'm missing one.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What have City had in that time? Right? 4 or 5, maybe. Pellegrini, Mancini. Pep's been there, 10 years? So he's done most of it. You look at Liverpool.
They've got stability stuff there. They know what they're doing. They've got stability within the football club, and they know exactly what they're doing. But because, like I said before, yeah, it's a bit like the scattergun approach we have with the transfers. It's all over the place, and there's no stability. It's a halfway house. And that is what I looked at with Tottenham when it comes to the management and the structure of it. It's a halfway house. We never actually back it fully. We only back it halfway.
Well, look, Philly, let's go. Look, this now goes back. Look, even then, there's another 10 years. You look at it from 08 through to 97, 10, 11 years. Look how many managers there are on that list. Look, even if you take out the caretaker managers, in the space of 10 years, you've got Graham, Hoddle, Santini, Yole, Ramos, Redknapp. You've got 6 managers across 11 years.
Look at the style of football, Savva. We've got if you look at it right, it's attacking, defensive. All of this is the same way that we've been going for the last few years. Attacking, defensive style of play. If you look at each of the managers that we've had in the last 20 years. So they've never actually settled on a style of football that they want Tottenham to implement.
Yeah. Look, I know. I mean, Cookie, I know you need to go in 2 minutes, but
yeah.
Again, it's more evidence, Cookie, of how badly we've been run. By the way, this only goes to 97. Look, I'll take this back, Cookie. This goes back to the beginning of the Premier League era, which I believe was these guys, right? I believe was Livermore and Clements, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Right? So if we
listen,
look
it just shows, Sav. It just shows. Look, the only example I can give, and as much as I hate to mention it, right, is that Arsenal have stood by Arteta, right? And again, he hasn't won anything yet, right? He still hasn't got over the line yet. But if you want to look at a club that's aligned, that knows what it wants to do, it's got an owner that's prepared to put money in, yeah, as long as it's took him to do it. And now, probably this season, yeah, they're out of the League Cup, unfortunately for them, but they're probably going to win the league and maybe win something else as well. But they're going to get over the line this year unless it's the biggest bottle job together. Now, all I will say is, right, look at what they've built over the 5 years, right? They've got players that are not playing every week that could come into that team. You could lose his first 11 and he'll still have 11 that will come in, yeah, and probably win most games or get results in most games.
Yeah.
And this is where, you know, you got to remember as well, 7 years ago, we were finishing above them. In 7 years, they're going on. Even if it took them, you know, the 5 years to get to where they are now. Look where they are and look where we are. And I know 7 years, 6 years, it sounds a long time, but they're going to be challenging now. They're at the point where that every season or in a transfer window, whichever one it might be, yeah, they'll lose a player, they'll bring one in to top up. They'll lose one that don't think's got it anymore, they'll bring another one in to top it up. And let me tell you, Arsenal are going to be up there for years. As long as they're doing what they're doing, they're going to be in and around winning stuff. And we
Mark,
are so far off of that.
Just quickly before you go, Mark, the worrying thing as well is even if Arsenal don't win the league this year, which I agree with you, by the way, if they don't win it from here, then that's mad. Even if they don't, you look at the caliber of players they're being linked to this summer already, right? They're being linked to Tino Livramento, Tonali, Julian Alvarez, right? That's the level of player you get linked to when you are challenging for titles year in, year out.
Yeah.
That's the caliber of player. I see Spurs fans go, just go and buy him. No, him wants to join. They want to join Arsenal. People going, oh, Eze, why didn't he join Spurs over Arsenal? Really? Really? Oh, I saw early in the season, Cookie, people going, I bet Eze regrets going to Arsenal. Really? You think if he's holding up a Premier League trophy at the end of the season, he's going to go, cool, I wish I'd gone down to White Hart Lane.
But
Mate, it's
Savva, I
mental.
want to take this even
Mental.
further. But before you go, please just listen to this bit, yeah? Right,
Yeah.
you mentioned Arsenal. You don't even have to go to Arsenal, mate. I'm going to take Aston Villa. 7 years ago, they were in the Championship, brother. Look how they've gone past Tottenham in the space of 7 years, and there's no oil money involved in that club whatsoever. Yet how have they gone past Tottenham in that space of time? And I'll leave you with that before you go, mate.
True, man. It is, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's all about the club being run and being aligned. And as long as you're not aligned from top to bottom, you got two hopes, and one's called Bob. And on that note, I've got to go. Got to go and pick the missus up. Thanks for having me, Savva.
Bob.
Philly, I'll speak to you soon. And Rain, we'll get our little thing together. You know what we're on about. Big up to the chat. Make sure to sub and subscribe to everyone, and me too, by the way. And I will see you all soon. Thanks for having me on, Sav. I appreciate you, bruv.
Always. Please subscribe to the 2 Mark Show. But
thanks, guys.
Look, guys, we don't want to use Arsenal as a benchmark. And, you know, Cookie was slightly, you know, Arteta has won an FA Cup. So he has won an FA Cup. But listen, they've got to win something this year. But the worrying thing is that they're just going to keep going. Like they have now put the blocks in place, Rain, where it's like where City were years and years and years ago. They've got the squad now. All they need to do each window is 1 or 2 out, 1 or 2 in. They don't need the major surgery every window. They can go, right, Martinelli and Jesus out. Let's bring in Julian Alvarez and bring in Nico Williams as the left wing. Just for example, right? That's where they're at as a football club. We're sitting here going, we sit and watch, Rain, the first 10 minutes of every game and go, who's playing where? Is this a 4-4-2? The levels of the clubs are chalk and cheese, aren't they?
Absolutely. But also because they're filling from the top, right? Because they went out and got Gyökeres, right? And it hasn't really worked out. But it doesn't matter. Well, it doesn't matter because it means their level doesn't go down. Their level doesn't go down because they haven't gone from okay, how do you replace Harry Kane? But you don't replace Harry Kane with Richarlison. That is a massive downgrade. You don't get Richarlison and hope that he's going to step up, right? You go out and you get, I can't remember who was saying it, from a position of strength. There was a show we were on last week. Someone was talking about you always recruit from might have even been Sean actually, from a position of strength. And we didn't do that, right? And now we're in a position, we are absolutely in a position where even last summer, we were going to the Eze's, to the Morgan Gibbs Whites, and we couldn't get those deals over the line because even last summer we were in a place, we were in the players had a perspective of who Tottenham Hotspur was that isn't what us fans think it is. They were already looking at Eze. You know, I'd much prefer to go and play for Arsenal and play 10 games and pick up a trophy and be part of that, you know, that winning mentality. Morgan Gibbs White, I'm going to stay where I am. Yeah, better the devil I know, right? Semenyo, there was, you know, we wanted to get Semenyo in January. Semenyo didn't even really think we should have got Semenyo. We should have gone for Semenyo in the summer, but you know, the talent acquisition wasn't there. So we asked Semenyo, and Semenyo goes, with respect, no. You know, it's you're not the club that I want. So we're now in a position where we can't replace Kane with a player who is somewhere around his level. We're stuck. And so what Stell says does make a lot of sense. They have to get the recruitment right, because that's just, it doesn't matter whether we get relegated or not. We're now in a position where we have to go and find out an Igor Jesus, right? We have to go and find these players. we have to go and find a Wharton before he's Wharton. We have to, because that's just now where we are. That's where that's where they've been pitching us, and now that's where we are. And
this is why I don't. When people say, and I'll say this all the time, just put the money down. They are so wide of the mark as to how these professional players actually think. They are.
It's laughable,
they're not getting it right. Look at this, by the way. Right, look at this. So we can do this with any club, by the way. This I've just found this site. Right, I've just found this site. So that's a bit small, isn't it? Right, this is Arsenal. Okay, this is Arsenal. Let's blow that up. Hopefully that's a bit bigger. So this is Arsenal. Have a look. Right, since the Premier League started. Right. So you'll see there that George Graham was in situ when the Premier League started for Arsenal, right? He was there from 86 to 95. If you then take out Rice and Houston twice, and Freddie Ljungberg, who were all interim managers, since the Premier League started, they have had Graham, Rioch, Wenger, Emery, Arteta. So when did the Premier League start? In 34 years, guys, they've had 5 managers. 5 permanent managers. We've had something like 18 or 19 permanent managers since ENIC took over in 01. Look at the stability. Now, the Arsenal fans, they can have their own debates, right? That's up to them. They can have their own debates and their own fights as to what they think they should have won or should have done. But look at the way the club is run. Again, look, honestly, if you go back further, Terry Neal, who is at the bottom of that list, was 1976. 1976. Look how few managers Arsenal Football Club have had. Now, if we do this we could pick a team here, right? If we go Man City, right? Let's look at Man City lately. Let's go to their managers. If you go to Man City, right? Even go back to them. Even back to the days of when ENIC took us over in 01, if I'm not wrong, right? Go back to 01. Kevin Keegan, right? How many permanent managers have they had there? 7? Right?
I'm
7 permanent.
I'll give you a curveball, mate. How about Chelsea? Because they've had a lot, because that's who Tottenham remind me of, Chelsea. But at least Abramovich gave them the money to back their manager. But that's what they sound like.
The reason why I don't talk about Chelsea is because Chelsea, what they did until this era with Clearlake, they always had the best players. So Chelsea would drop a manager in that was win now, here's the squad, right? My point is, when you look at Man City, who weren't a massive club, but they were a big club, but they weren't what they are now. You go back to, look at this, you go back to the beginning of the Premier League era. There's still not that many permanent managers compared to Tottenham. Let's look at Liverpool, right? This is utterly, utterly damning on Tottenham Hotspur. You look at Liverpool, right? Go to managers. So you look, right? So in the time since ENIC have been there, they have had, who have they had as manager? They have had Benitez, Julio Benitez, Hodgson, Dalglish, Rodgers, Klopp and Slot. So they've had like 7 full-time managers in the time that we've had about 20. And bearing in mind, Klopp had a decade, right? Like Klopp had a decade of that. This goes to show just how badly run we actually are. And still we sit here going, this manager will sort it out. And you're like, oh, we're not getting it. We're not getting it. Thomas Frank wasn't the man. All right. Maybe he wasn't. How will we ever know? Because the question I've got for you guys is this. When we say, fill in the blank of the manager name, so-and-so isn't the man for us. What does that mean? What isn't the man? What's the plan? What's the aim? What's the goal? What does that mean?
Right, Savva, yeah. I asked Chelsea for a reason, yeah, and you said me the reason, yeah, they're the best in class. That is why I said Chelsea, because I looked at Chelsea and say only Chelsea hire their managers, yeah, and give them the best in class and say go on with your work. Tottenham behave like Chelsea in the way they hire managers, but they do not give them the best in class, and they're basically asking them to provide miracles, Savva, and that is why I asked for Chelsea in particular, because the way they operate is as if you're Chelsea with Abramovich, but you're not.
I bet you.
So you've got delusions of grandeur as a football club.
I bet you Chelsea have had less managers than us.
And I would suggest yes as well. But that is why I say it's delusions of grandeur, Savva. A bit like you were talking about arrogance comes before a fall. I said the delusions of grandeur that Tottenham have as a football club, not just the fans, but the club itself has delusions of grandeur, Savva, thinking that they're better than they are.
I don't think.
I mean, I'm looking at Chelsea's now. Chelsea have had a hell of a lot of managers. But Chelsea went through that stage, didn't they, of going, oh, Ancelotti, you have 6 months. Oh, Benitez, you have 6 months. And the thing is, those managers walked into squads where it was expected, right, you don't need time. You've got Drogba, you've got Lampard, you've got Terry, you've got Carvalho, you've got Cole. It was win. We drop managers in. We drop Conte in and go, all right, you've got Emerson Royale as your right wing back. You've got Ryan Sessegnon, Ben Davis, Eric Dyer, Sissoko, Wink, Skip. Go on, and there's a huge difference, right?
Right. That's
Philly,
what I wanted.
Philly, but Philly, I don't think fan expectations are out of order.
It's not fan expectations. No, Rain. It's not fan expectations, because what the fans have no control of the transfers coming in. It's the club's delusion in the players that they thinking that they buy is better than they are. The fans here will always back the players because that's what we do as fans, right? But even us as fans have to look at what the players are showing on the pitch and say, you know what, we can't defend you now.
Please use your again. Can I just say what baffles me about the world? This guy clearly has ears because he heard us mention the name Frank, but has taken from that he's being hyped up. No one said that. The point we were making was whoever the manager is, whether it's Frank, whether it's Silva that comes in or De Zerbi, our fans will get on the manager's back within 6 months if we do not see that everything has magically turned. Like Rain said earlier, with all the I think it was you, Rain, with all the best will in the world, we're not going to go from 17th to 4th in 1 year with all the best will in the world. But our fans next year, if a new manager comes in and let's say, Rain, by January, let's say it's De Zerbi. De Zerbi comes in and by January, we're sitting 10th in the table, right? Mid-table, 10th in the table, right? Our fans will go, see, he's shit as well. He's not even got us in the European places. He needs to go. And guess what? Then we start again. The next manager, we will give no one any time at all. So no, Klunsman, right? That's not what we were doing there. Every time we talk about a footballer or a manager, it doesn't mean they're being hyped up. We're trying to add context to a situation. Try it. It's really liberating.
So big up Dan in chat. I agree with what Dan's saying. Fan expectations are appropriate, that we should be here. Why are those fan expectations? Because that's what we're paying for, right? We pay for this level of experience, which is winning trophies, and what we want is free-flowing attacking football. We give the money because our club is not a big club anymore, but we are a rich club. We are still a rich club. Every metric shows we are a rich club, but we don't act like a big club.
Great. Agreed. But Rain, I'll ask this question again. When people say, and again, I'm only using Frank because it was mentioned in the chat. When people say Frank was the wrong choice, well, we've just showed there Spurs have got a list of about 20 managers in the last 10, 15 years. What does the right choice mean? Right? Like, how is there a universally accepted right choice for Tottenham Hotspur when at the moment we are finishing 17th, probably 2 years in a row if we stay up, have a terrible squad, no ethos, no strategy? What does that look like, Rain? What's the right choice? How can anyone know?
Yeah, exactly. I've just blown my cheeks out because
Right.
it is. How do you know? How do you know?
Right.
Because you've got to have had a rational approach over a long period of time. Why does that matter? Why can a coach not come in and just change it? Well, do you know what? The coach is now. Forgive me, guys. I'm sick, so I can feel my throat going. The coach is now the most disposable person at a football club. Yeah, the coach will come in and he'll be gone. He'll be gone before anybody else is. In most football clubs, and certainly at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, who is not one of the most disposable parts of a football club? The players. So the player, give them a 5-6 year contract. So they're there for 5-6 years. How many coaches has Romero had? Right? What is it? Nuno, Conte, Ange, Frank, Tudor. Let's forget the Masons, the Stellinis, in between all of that. That's 5 managers, 5 coaches that Romero's had in his contract at Tottenham, or in his period of time at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. That's absolutely bonkers. It's absolute madness. And that is because we don't, well, no, not we, they up there don't have joined up thinking about how we build our squads, about how we support those coaches, and about how we develop young players to become part of our first team in conjunction with buying players. It's just a mess.
Rain, can I add something to the Romero bit? Because I am sick and tired of hearing excuses for this guy. This guy has had it since day one. Oh, he's playing next to Eric Dyer. Oh, he's this. This man runs out from his defensive position into the midfield, leaving a gap in the back. This man is absolutely disgraceful. This is the captain of the football team. You went down the other Relegation, Nottingham Forest, yeah, and he basically walked back. The second goal for Nottingham Forest, yeah, if you see him, he is standing there watching the guy, watching Morgan Gibbs White basically put the ball into the empty net. There are 3 of them standing there, but he is the captain of Tottenham Hotspurs, just standing there, ball watching. What are you doing, Romero? I've had enough.
But you know what?
And years of excuses for him, bro.
Yeah, but you know what? No. I'm not making an excuse for Romero, but right. So ignore everything before the but. We used to have a player called Jan Vertonghen.
Agreed.
Yeah. And he was quite happy to go on marauding runs. He or just like Van der Ven, he used to play left back for Belgium. Yeah. And he was quite happy to go on marauding runs. But we had a rational squad. We had a squad and a team that was built and knew that that's what he could do. So we had Wanyama, we had Eric Dyer in defensive midfield, and when Vertonghen or Alderweireld, I don't think he did it that often, but when Vertonghen used to go on one of his runs up the pitch, and we used to get the old Super Jan, our defensive midfielder would slot in, right? So it worked. We've now got Romero. We know that Romero and Van der Ven want to do that every now and again. But we don't have, Tudor didn't play Paulinia, who can do that defensive midfield role. But we've only got one of them anyway. So when Paulinia is in the squad, we don't have somebody else who can play that. So we end up with what Savva was talking about before, which is from, every 5 or 10 games, and in our case, every 1 or 2 games, we're playing a completely different way. There's no consistency in the way that the team is playing. So no wonder the players' heads are fried, because You know, they don't know whether they don't know whether to make that run forwards or not, because they don't know who is going to be next to them. They don't know what they're going to do.
Partnerships. You're not building relationships.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
First of all, you're taking it too far. Right. Romero is the captain of Tottenham Hotspur. Whether we like it or not, he's the captain of Tottenham Hotspur. We have young players in that squad. He is a leader and a role model. So whatever he shows an application on the football field, yeah, everyone else will follow because he is the captain of the football club. Now, if he can't be bothered to get back into position, why should anybody else? If he was to come out in the media and talk rubbish, yeah, but not produce it on the football field, because back in the day, yeah, when Savva and I were young, yeah, and I'm going to say this now, hopefully I'm going to say, the players used to do their talking on the pitch. They didn't go in the media and do talking. They would go out on the pitch and put all their effort into the pitch. Now, if the captain of the football club can't do that, why should other players who are following that captain do it as well? Because he, like I said before, he is the captain whether we like it or not, and he doesn't have it. This is why I said, yeah, I'm looking at Romero and thinking, what are you actually doing? You should not be the captain of the football club.
Oh, he's a disgrace of a captain.
I don't disagree.
But you know what? I think I was just seeing a comment there, which I think is absolutely. I agree with this, right? Listen, I think we can talk about players being problems. I don't think there is a problem. There isn't one player's a problem. That you're right. The entire thing is a mess. I think the issue why Romero gets highlighted is, and I've said this throughout the years, when a player is put on a pedestal, he's going to be judged on that pedestal. Right. Fans for years, you want to put Kane on this pedestal that he's the best in the world, then he's going to be judged in those big games. Go and be the difference maker. You are on that pedestal. That might sound unfair, but that's life. That is life, right? Now, Romero is put on the pedestal. He's a world-class player. He's a top defender. He's got the big game mentality. Right. Sure. But what we're seeing right now is that the last 3-4 months when Spurs are in free fall and we can't win a game for love nor money, he looks like one of the worst players because his attitude stinks. He's not working hard. He's not tracking back. He's losing his man. He's not talking to the players around him, but he's doing all the things that makes fans go, yeah, we like him. He's coming out in the press. He says things on Instagram. Like Philly said, back in the day, there was no Instagrams event. Back in the day, the players, you didn't hear from them. They might get interviewed on Match of the Day, right? Was it Jimmy Hill doing it? Was it whoever? Yeah. Like, you might get interviewed on Match of the Day. You wouldn't hear from the player for the week because there was no platform to hear from them. They'd go out on the pitch and you go, yeah, sorted yourself out. Our players talk and they talk and they talk and they apologize and they tell us things are going to get better and they say we're going to work on things. And then when it comes to match day, you watch Romero playing a match day and you go, you're the leader. Of course you're going to get scrutinized. Listen, the greys and the tells, the ones putting in the effort, forget what you think of them as players. They're fighting. I look at Romero and Van der Ven. I'll be honest, that's the captain and the vice captain. And I'm going, you two are a shambles. Like, all right, we're not set up well, and I can talk about the manager in that respect, but you two are a shambles. You should be leading by example. You should be talking the greys and the tells through this game as the youngsters. You should be talking the mid. Romero should be talking Sarr and Gray through where he wants them in front of him. You should be staying at centre-half Romero rather than running upfield where you can actually survey the game and make sure that we're not in trouble. That's why Romero gets stick, because for years we're told he's amazing. He's not. He's not amazing.
I'm actually far more concerned. I get that lots of people are very upset about this, but I'm going to go in on it. What I saw was a player trying to go forwards, trying to impact the play, and he was complete. Nobody went to help him on that right hand side. You know, I'm thinking of it as left hand side because I'm behind that goal. So nobody went to help him. He had a fight for about 30 seconds with 3 Forest players, and nobody went to help him. Right, and that's a part of the team. I'm actually and yes. Then, you know, it goes back. He's upset and frustrated because he didn't get the free kick. and it goes back. And yeah, I get a lot of people. I'm far more annoyed with Romero for the second goal that we conceded against, but with Morgan Gibbs-White. Morgan Gibbs-White trotted into our penalty area and was on the penalty area with 5 meters of radius around him with no players. And Romero is that his primary job is marshalling that penalty area. And I sent Savva a little snippet, a little picture that somebody sent to me. It's gone around all the WhatsApp groups with who the F are you marking? 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 With this picture with Morgan Gibbs-White completely in the middle, completely. Maybe we can put him on mute.
Yeah, Lubo, by the way, you've joined. We can't hear anything, so we can hear the car, and I'm wrapping up in 3 minutes.
Right. Can I just say one thing?
Wait a minute. So we've got Romero not marking anybody. Everybody else, it is Romero. That is why we lose games, because we keep on conceding goals because we're not tracking people, we're not marking people. If you concede 2 or 3 goals a game, you're going to lose more than you win. That's just simple maths. I know we all want to score more than the other team, but if you concede 2 or 3 goals a game because you keep on having bozo moments, so you can't do your job, like Romero didn't in that for that second goal, then you're doomed. That's where we are. Sorry, Lubo.
Well, hang on. Let's
back on what you said about 15, 20 minutes ago, Rain, about the culture discussion. If you're building a house, you can't build the first floor without building the grounds. And I don't give a shit what 60,000 fans think. My only concern is that the owners get the culture right, because it all goes from there and it trickles down. So what the fans want is irrelevance. If the club's run properly, the fans love it. There's no dissension, but it's got to be run properly. And at the end of the day, we're at the end of the chain. We're at the end. It starts with the owners. They've got to employ the right people, and they've got to, and the right players have got to be bought, and the right manager's got to come in and play the right system, and then the results are right. And then at the end of it, we judge, and we have our opinion. But we're right at the end of that food chain, matey, and it's got to start at the top. That's where the culture comes from, not the fans. Forget the fans. It's got to come from the people that run the club, that put the right people in place, because they want to win. We've never had that for 33 years, and ultimately this is where you end up.
I think
what I meant.
I think you and I need to have a discussion off camera, because we're talking about 2 different things.
Yeah, look, we can sort that out. Look, guys, I will say, if everyone, I am going to send you over in 2 minutes over to Sean's channel. I think Sean and Stella are having some sort of, I don't know, some sort of one-on-one show. It's probably going to be lively after what, I don't know, just leave them to it. They're both very different ends of the spectrum. It'll probably end up being very ENIC and Levy-centric, but I think most people are going to tune in, and it should be fun. What I will say is this. I think at this point, I think if anyone is defending ENIC, I think that they are hanging on by a shoestring, as there is very little evidence now to suggest that ENIC have done anything good for a very, very, very long time. Big up to the Stoic. Thank you so much, my man. Really appreciate you. Said, guys, is this break to our advantage or not? I don't think it means anything. I think it's personally, I think it's to our advantage in terms of if we're changing manager. Yes, I think it is. However, we've not been in any form for about, I don't know, 3 years. We're not going into the international break in unusual form because we're so used to losing, and we're not going in with good form because we haven't been in good form for years. So I'm not really sure it matters, to be honest. All I hope is that we hear the news that we have brought in somebody in the next few days. And all I'm going to say is this: if they bring in Hooter again and it doesn't work, we kind of deserve what we get, because we've literally just done this with Tudor, somebody who's got no experience of the club or the Premier League, and we're about to do it again. And if they do that again, it really will just hammer home and cement just how bad these owners are. Look, I'm going to say thank you to Lubo for his brief appearance. Thank you to Rain. Thank you to Philly. Thank you to Mark Cook as well. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to send you all over to Sean and Stel. You know how that's going to end, so I'm sure there'll be some box office moments there. Much love. Take care. ENIC out. And come on, you Spurs.
Go on, Spurs.
Cool.